let's start rotation one with the position group that I think kind of grabbed everyone's attention yesterday. You wrote about it for Huskers Illustrated. I wrote about them for Husker Max, and pretty much every piece I read talked about the middle blockers. And I did not realize this, Lincoln, until I was reading your great Huskers Illustrated piece that people should go check out, that the middle blockers in yesterday's red-white scrimmage got 40 kills, which was only one fewer kill than the outside hitters got in the scrimmage. And they did it on 55 fewer swings. The middle blockers, all four of them together, hit 378. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts were on the middles.
Yeah, that's what you want from your middle blockers too. I mean, it was all led kind of by Rebekah Allick, who she had the most kills of the match with 16. But then, I mean, I thought Andy Jackson had maybe a quiet 9 kills too, and still hit.
Yeah, quiet 400 or whatever she hit, 412.
It's just maybe another average day at the office for Andy Jackson too. But I thought two of the bigger newcomers that really made an impact were both other middle blockers. We talked to Kenna Kogel. She came to the press conference. We were able to talk to her about her experience. And then Manaya Obeche as well, too. I thought she looked really good. She was a lot more physical present at the net with her block, but they all looked good, too. And I think Nebraska has to feel very good about not only having two potential All-Americans in Alec and Jackson, but two quality subs should they need a break, because it's a long season at middle blocker, and that position takes a physical toll on them.
Well, I think you could really tell that both of the setters were working hard to get the ball to the middles. You saw Bergen Riley go up a couple times on a tight pass and do a one-handed back set, which is a little bit of a high risk play, but she was trying to get the ball to Alec. And of course the slide to Jackson's always going to be there. And then a fair amount of those kills, I don't have it all charted, but maybe, 4 or 5 of those from the middles came on overpasses. And Rebekah Allick especially is going to punish those overpasses when she's in the front row. Kogel, I thought, was interesting. She was dare I say, the least heralded of the newcomers coming in, just because Nebraska has some really outstanding middles, and she came in and she put balls down with authority, right? Like, she was quick off the floor. She had a whip arm swing. She worked really well with the setters. And then, that comment that Rebekah Allick made sitting next to her, just about how much of a maybe polished or mature attacker she was on some sets where, the red-white's interesting because everyone kind of knows your tendencies, and the numbers usually are never that outstanding. But she said, the blockers were kind of closing in on a set to Kogel, and she just adjusted and hit it off to the side and dropped a shot in there, which is not something you always see out of a freshman player. So, Rebekah Allick maybe it stole the show from everyone else, but everyone else was very solid too.
Yeah. The one cool moment of Rebekah Allick too is she was also named the lifter of the year in between the second and third set too. And she was surprised, didn't know that was coming. She kind of let out a little squeal of delight or yell of delight, and then kind of went over and hung Brian Kmita, the strength and conditioning coach, and was holding back tears. I mean, she was really impacted by that. So that was really cool to see. And then the other cool part is that she was holding the trophy up and celebrating, that all of her teammates mobbed her because it's voted on by her teammates. So to have that reaction and then for them to share in that joy with her was really cool as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you can tell Rebekah Allick is someone who works very hard on her game and on her body in the weight room too. Like, I hadn't been next to her for probably a couple seasons. And then she comes in the post-game press conference is like, oh yeah, this person knows where the weight room is. So credit to her for putting a lot of work in to develop her game. And, we talked a little bit with Danny Busboom Kelly after the match about captains. And she said, well, captains are probably going to be named pretty soon, whether it's late this week or early next week after the alumni match gets done. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, at this point, I would kind of be surprised if Rebekah Allick wasn't one of the captains this fall. She, represented the team at Big Ten Media Days. She's very comfortable kind of talking for the team and in front of everyone like she was yesterday. So, Rebekah Allick has really grown over her 4 years in the program, and she had 16 kills and hit 433 yesterday.
Well, and also she was
the only
one. Yeah, she was the only one who won all 4 sets too. I think she played on the red team for the first 3 and was on the white team for the last one. So she went undefeated as well too. I think, the freshman again too. I thought you talked about Kenna Kogel earlier. What really impressed me was, I think you made a comment on Twitter that she kind of looked like Andy Jackson, both in physical appearance, but also
got some pushback on that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But I still believe it. And this is, part of it is from like where we're sitting, right? The media seats are not exactly courtside. And they've got, like the ponytail with a little streak in it, and they're both really tall. And then if you squint, right, with how quick Kogel got off the floor for some of those sets and just putting the ball through the floor, you're like, oh my goodness, that's Andy Jackson's little sister. And so, with the talent that Nebraska has, the freshmen with Obeje and Kogel, this middle blocker position, if everyone stays and everyone stays healthy, is going to continue to be a strength at Nebraska for a number of years. And Obeje, right, we haven't spoken much about her. You kind of heard going into the scrimmage, right, the whispers about this girl's a really good blocker, right?
Mm-hmm.
She is ahead of her years as a blocker, and then she has 8 blocks in 4 sets. The offense isn't quite there yet. It's one match in a scrimmage, but she did have 5 kills and got fewer swings than any of the middles. But if you're just looking for someone who is laterally quick and a technically good blocker and who can close the block, like Manaya Obeje is really solid.
Yeah, not worried about her at all, and they'll provide a good backup to both Alec and Jackson, who, again, I think we talked about this in the tail end of our pod, our bonus pod we did on Friday, to kind of preview it a little bit too. That's the one position I feel didn't have many questions coming in, but also got the most answers too. I think the most positive answers, I should say.